You are being watched. And guess what? You paid for the cameras. Okay, for now, we all know where I stand. I am against flock cameras. I'm against the idea that we should be watched everywhere we go, not just in store, not just in parking lots. Now we bring this technology right into our freaking neighborhoods. Main roads are not the only place. Now they're in your neighborhoods, regardless of all our Ring cameras. Yes, I'm outspoken about it. I don't apologize for that. Because here's what scares me. It's not just a camera. It's what comes next. You start with a license plate, then you collect the vehicle, then you collect the time, then the location, then you start connecting those dots. And eventually, technology can start telling a story about where you go, who you visit, what you do, and how often do you do it. And if I keep hearing, well, it's just a camera, while adding another camera and another camera and another camera, where does it stop? I did a show in my small town, guys. And I went on Facebook, or the groups on our town, and I talked about this because I've been following all these stories that I am going to tell you today, but there's many more. And they tell me, talk to the chief. And I'm like, wait a second. 80% of all these stories are because police officers are abusing. Who is watching the chief? I don't know him. I didn't hire him. But that's how it goes. So today we're going to go beyond my sleepy little town. We're talking about flock cameras across America. We're talking about 100,000 plus cameras. We're talking about the Fourth Amendment. Everybody forgot. We're talking about lawsuits. We're talking about police officers who allegedly abused access to the system. And we're going to look at actual audit reports that have been made public. Because I'm not asking you to simply believe me. I am going to show you. But regardless of what I show you, every day there's a new story. So let's get into it. First, let's get the basics out of the way. Flock Safety is a company. They're banking. ALPR stands for Automated License Plate Readers. The camera captures vehicles as they pass. The system can identify the license plate and record things like the vehicle, make, model, color, and distinguishing characteristics. Flock describes the system as a public safety tool. And I'm going to be fair. There are legitimate uses for this technology. Stolen vehicles, missing people, hit and runs, criminal investigation. And if your kid goes missing and the camera helps police find them, you're probably going to look at the cameras very differently. And if your car is stolen and the system helps recover it, same thing. So this isn't police bad and camera bad. That would be way too easy. The real question is, what happens when technology designated to help solve individual crimes become a massive researchable network tracking the movement of ordinary people like you and I? Here's where it gets crazy. Flock Network is now reported to be more than 120,000 cameras across the country, operating in 49 states. Good job, Alaska. That's not one city. That's not one police department. That's a national surveillance network. And according to recent reporting, Flock technology is being used by roughly 7,000 law enforcement agencies. And here's the thing. Nobody had one national vote and said, let's build a 120,000 camera vehicle tracking network. We didn't vote for it. We didn't even see it coming. It happened locally. One town, one community, one police department, one contract, one camera at a time. My sleepy town has 6. I have a bigger town next to us and they have less than ours. What's the big deal? What's the surveillance for? Pay attention to what our own local government is buying, because these systems don't stay local forever. In my town, they spent $36,000 on these cameras. They used our stickers, our car stickers, to buy them. Well, I didn't vote for that. I thought the car sticker was going for repairs around the community. Oh, no, no, no. Who made that choice? Who voted for that? Nobody. Everybody just does what everybody wants. And you, the consumer, and the homeowner are the last to find out. When you drive past an ALPR camera, you aren't necessarily a suspect. No, you're not. You just happen to be driving down the road. But the system can create a record of that vehicle being observed. Time, location, vehicle characteristics. I'm sorry, English is my second language. And when enough observations accumulate, those individual data points can reveal patterns. Think about it. Very important. Your doctor's office, your church, your child's school, your workplace, your friend's house, your boyfriend's house, your girlfriend's house, a protest, gun range, an abortion clinic, an immigration lawyer, a political meeting. The camera doesn't know why you were there, but the data can show that your vehicle was there. So connect the dot. An Institute for Justice lawsuit challenging San Jose flock system makes the exact argument, alleging that the camera captured vehicles' characteristics and locations and can create a detailed record of people's routine. San Jose had nearly 500 cameras involved in a lawsuit. Now, let's stop talking about hypothetical abuse. These are lawsuits, but they're hypothetical. Let's talk about what's actually happening. And I'm sure everybody heard about this one. Florida. Haines City police officer Christopher Goodson, investigator, alleged he used the flock system to search for his estranged wife's vehicle 717 times between 2024 and 2026. What does that tell you? Why are we all of a sudden seeing cameras everywhere? Because they started little by little since 2024. Think about this, 717 times. According to the investigators, his wife wasn't the subject of any criminal investigation. Her vehicle wasn't connected to any crime recurring those searches, and investigators say that he entered various law enforcement reasons to justify the search. He has been charged with official misconduct and an offense involving a computer system. He has said the purpose for him was because he wanted to monitor the location of his children while they were with their mother. 717 times. Those aren't allegations, and the case still has to play out. Everything is playing out. But here's my question. How did one person with authorized access allegedly turn law enforcement surveillance system into a tool for tracking his own family? Who was watching him? That's the problem. The technology doesn't have to be evil. The person with the access can be the problem. And Florida isn't an isolated story. In South Carolina, a Mullen police officer was fired after investigators found she had allegedly used the flock search for her ex-boyfriend. She searched 166 times between March and July of this year. So it's not just the ex-man or the ex-boyfriend or the ex-girlfriend or the ex-wife. This goes across the board, whether you are male or female. If you have access to those flock cameras, you're human. And if you're having some sort of stuff in your own personal life and you want, maybe I could use it. Maybe I could just innocently. No, it's addictive because now you want to know everything. According to the reporting, she allegedly entered justification, once again, that included warrants, checks, and welfare concerns. She was fired. She has not been criminally charged again. But I'm going to show you what she looks like. Because again, guys, they're not only males, they're also females. Just saying. So if the guys are not talking about this and it's just us conservative women, think again. And again, this is exactly why access matter. Who gets access? What stops them from using it for personal reasons? And who is watching the searches? And then there's Savannah, because I'm telling you, every day there's something. Savannah police conducted an internal audit. Oh, this one is juicy. And it's of its flock system, 6 employees were placed on administrative leave. But check this out, 4 officers and 2 civilians. Meaning they worked in the police department, but they were not. They were not cops. The investigation found searches that appeared to have been conducted for purpose unrelated to legitimate law enforcement. And here's something that really caught my attention. Savannah police You can't make this up. Said the audit identified 127 potentially inappropriate searches out of approximately 39,000 searches. Then we go to Texas. I'm going to show you this.
Investigating one of their own after allegations an officer misused the department's flock license plate reader system.
KPRC Chief's Corley Peel joining us live in Baytown with details on this investigation. Corley.
Lisa and Keith, flock cameras like this one here are designed to solve crimes, but now Baytown police are investigating if one of their own officers allegedly misused that system. Now, that officer has not been charged with a crime, and the police chief has not identified the officer, but does confirm that both an internal review and criminal investigation are underway. Flock cameras are license plate readers used by law enforcement. They were created to catch criminals or find missing people. In Baytown, one officer is under investigation for allegedly misusing what the flock camera system was intended for. That's according to Chief John Stringer.
After reviewing the information in the complaints, I've authorized an internal affairs investigation for potential policy misconduct. I've also authorized a separate criminal investigation for potential criminal misconduct. In the interest of objectivity and transparency, I requested the assistance of the Harris County District Attorney's Office throughout the entirety of the criminal investigation.
Chief Stringer didn't give details about how one of his officers allegedly misused the flock camera system.
Because this is an ongoing investigation, we don't have additional details to release right now.
This is the second case involving the alleged misuse of flock camera.
They are coming up every single day. So don't be shocked if it's in your own backyard. The officer later resigned while the investigation continued because I have yet to see anybody be arrested. And just last week, in Harris County Sheriff's Office suspended 3 deputies access to flock cameras while investigating possible misuse. The department announced additional oversight measures. Again, how many times do we have to see this before we admit that access is the problem? Now, somebody's going to say, well, they're just a few bad apples. You know what? Maybe. But that's exactly why we need safeguards. Because when a system can collect information about millions of innocent drivers, we should build our privacy protection around the assumption that every person with access will always behave perfectly. No, we need rules that assume people can abuse power. That's why we have laws. That's why we have audits. That's why we have courts. And that's why we have the Constitution. So now we're getting into the part that I really like and that really matters to me. The Fourth Amendment. The Constitution protects people against unreasonable search and seizures. And the legal question we're now facing or watching, when does the collecting of searching locations information become a search under the Fourth Amendment? The Supreme Court recently addressed that question in the Chatrie versus United States, Chatrie. Remember, English is my second language. And I want to be very clear that Chatrie was not a flock case. It involved a geofence warrant and a cell phone location information. But the Supreme Court recognized that obtaining that kind of historical location information can implicate the Fourth Amendment and send the case back for further analysis. That mattered because we're now living in a world where technology can create and detail records of all our goes and comes and anywhere that we've been. And I know that our phones do it, and I know, but you share that with whoever you want to share it, not with the police department. So the Supreme Court, June 2026 action, vacated the lower court's decision and remanded that the geofence case for further analysis after recognizing that the Fourth Amendment search issue. So it recognized it, and I'm sure it's going to come down the pipe with more cases. And now courts are being asked to deal with ALPRS. This isn't just a Facebook argument anymore, and I've fought so many online. It's pathetic. I don't know how many people just want to give those rights away. People are going to court. In San Jose, residents file a federal class action suit challenging the city use of nearly 500 cameras in that particular city. The argument include, once again, the Fourth Amendment concern over the collection and tracking of vehicles' movement. And in Virginia, the ACLU Electronic Frontier Foundation have filed an appellate brief challenge in Norfolk's use of FLOC's ALPRS. They argue that the ALPRS system can collect sensitive location information from people who aren't suspected of any crime and allow retrospective searches across jurisdiction lines. Hear me out. I had a local show with my local girl here. They are pulling people over that have nothing to do with crimes because the camera is not perfect either and they read your plate wrong. That is the legal fight we are watching. The courts are going to have to wrestle with this question and this technology because it is complicated. How much more movement can the government collect before your movement become private information protected by our Constitution? And I know the DSA and those freaking liberals don't care about our Constitution, but I happen to care about the Constitution, and I happen to care about my privacy, and I know many Americans do. And here's where I want to show you something. There's a website called Have I Been Flocked? It allows people to search publicly released flock audit logs. The records have been obtained through the public record request, and I'm going to put that link on my description. Those records don't tell us everything. The database is incomplete. Not every police department releases its audits. A search result doesn't automatically mean someone was investigated, but there are actual records that have been released to the public. You could search. I search on mine for my husband. But again, those license plate readers move so fast that the data entry cannot keep up. Trust me, people are searching this website, and I said I would put it in my description. It's called haveibeenflocked.com. This is what transparency should look like. But again, the readers move so fast that they cannot enter the information as fast. Now, you could check today, might not be on it, but you check in a week and you might be on it. So I say, get to know that website, have it in your favorites, and visit it often. Agencies can restrict access to the flock camera, and they want to do some changes. So the flock said, you know what? We get it. The company knows there's a problem. The flock has announced changes. It says agencies will have stronger auditing tools. Searches can be tied to a case number. I particularly like that one. Agencies can restrict access. And Flock announced that its standard data retention period will be reduced from 30 days to 7 days beginning January 1 of 2027. But that pisses me off because you have known for 2 years that these things were reporting inaccurately. You had people getting access to it that shouldn't have had it. You saw them misuse their access, and you're now going to make changes. Flock says these changes will be designed to prevent misuse and increase accountability. What accountability? For 2 years, we've known about these cases, and I have yet to see anybody go to jail. Flock itself described its search filter and safeguards, while AP reports the announced charges, including short retention and require auditing tools. And I will give them credit for making those changes, but I say too late because now they're everywhere. But here's my question to you. Why do we need all these changes in the first place? Because they were bad from the get-go. And then there's another issue. Who else can see the data that has already been collected? Because this isn't necessarily just about your local police department. There have been documented concerns about agencies being able to access data across jurisdiction. In Virginia, the ACLU says agencies have violated state restriction involving federal and out-of-state sharing. Flock itself acknowledged that some California agencies' network had inadvertently been accessible to out-of-state law enforcement agencies. And today we're seeing reporting about Troy and New York City, where records show more than 5,000 external agencies had access to the Troy flock data. So when someone tells you it's just a camera, I want you to ask, are you sure? And again, I want to be fair. police department use technology because it believes it helps solve crime. Flock says itself it helps recover stolen vehicles, locate missing people, and identify vehicles connected to investigations. In my town, I've had some neighbors have had their cars stolen right from their driveway. Guess what? The flock camera didn't find anything. And again, I understand that there's some cases, but very few get caught. Flock says searches are logged. Flock says it doesn't use facial recognition. Wait a sec. Is this the same company that knew since 2024 that there were issues and now they're going to correct them and they want us to believe that there's no facial recognition? Think again. And when misuse is discovered, the company points at the audit system that will help identify it. Those are legitimate arguments. Public safety matters. I would never argue that. But here's my position. Public safety does not require us to give up expectation of privacy. Why can't they do both? Or are they just going to sit in their office at the police station and just look at videos all day? So let me bring this all the way back home. My sleepy little town has 6 cameras, and the town next over has less than ours, and we are a smaller town. They're bigger. There are more than 120,000 flock cameras across America. Police officers have allegedly used them to track their exes, male or female. 5 officers in Georgia were arrested. 6 employees in Savannah were fired. 2 of them weren't even cops. Officers in Texas have been investigated. Lawsuits are being filed. The Supreme Court is wrestling with how the Constitution applies to technology-generated location information. And Flock itself is changing its rule. This conversation is not going away. And here's why. I'm not asking whether we should use technology to solve crime. Of course we should. Not in the neighborhood. We all have Ring cameras. I'm asking who's watching the watchers? Who checked the searches? Who controls the data? Who can access? How long does it stay there? Can federal agencies search it? What happens when somebody abuses the access? We've seen that. I haven't seen anybody get arrested. And what constitutional protection do ordinary people have, like you and I? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The camera doesn't know you're innocent. It doesn't know you're guilty. It doesn't know you're a Democrat. It doesn't know if you're a Republican. It doesn't know you're religious. Doesn't know if you're not religious. It doesn't know if you're going to a doctor. Doesn't know if you're going to a protest. It just sees your vehicle. But once that information is collected, guys, stored and researchable, somebody else can start connecting the dots. And I don't know about you, but I don't want government database creating a picture of my life simply because I drove down a public street or because I am going home. We have a constitution for a reason. We have the 4th Amendment for a reason, and we should not have to wait until after our privacy has been destroyed to decide that maybe we should have protected it and fought more. You're giving it away. You are giving your Constitution away. You are giving your 4th Amendment away. Technology is not going to slow down. AI isn't going to slow down. Surveillance isn't going to slow down. So the question is, are the laws going to keep up? Because so far they haven't. They can't even enter the plate numbers as fast as it gets it. Or are we going to wake up one day and realize that we built the surveillance system first and ask permission afterwards? That's where I stand. You don't have to agree with me, but I want you to know what's happening. Whether you're in the left, or you're in the right, or you are a Democrat, Republican, you will care. If you are involved or a family member is involved in anything with a flock camera, you will care. And it's just a matter of time. But I do want you to know, and I do want you to ask questions. I want you to look at the contracts. I want you to look at the audit logs if you have access to it. And if not, go to the website. I want you to know what the cameras are. And I want you to ask your local officials who's watching us and who's watching them. I'm Barbie, and this is Barbie Unfiltered 67. And as always, the truth unfiltered. I'll see you next time. If you stayed this long, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.